I'm Jeneth Blackert, and my guest today is me. And I am going to talk about my work, Be-ology, and I want to take you into the energetics of it. And I should have brought my drum over. But about a couple of years ago, I really got that, our reality is hackable, that we really are Neo in the Matrix and this reality is hackable. So as Neo and realizing that, wow, we can go way beyond what we ever thought was possible, I really have crafted a methodology and a practice to really take us into the depths of cracking our own reality. And I have a little book for you, and there's a meditation practice on really how we get back to being all of us and really moving into beyond thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and really going directly to what is the energy that we're asking to be here. And then there is a practice with journaling and writing and creating pictures where we go in to re-engineer so that you actually can hack your reality. And I don't know that I'm going to go all that way today. I just wanted to kind of say hello and play with you. I think I'm going to do a webinar next week or so, and really, explain kind of the elements and why Be-ology. I had a call earlier this week, like this month, no, this week, where we talked about kind of how I, do my body work, and we really integrate some of the frequencies within the body. So if you do start to go, yes, I'm enjoying this call, let's go deeper, and you want to know about the body work, then definitely, take a journey with me. I wanted to start you today with what if there's no past, right? There's no past energy and there's no future. What does it feel like? We're going to start with feelings. What does it feel like to have and be what you're asking for in your life? Without going too far into the fantasy, really just opening up the next energetic bubble about having and being. And this has really become a practice of me playing for many, many years now, where I started to, really look at not just what would I like to have in my life. Like, it's great to have the car, the money, the house, right? But what is it? What is the energy, space, and consciousness that I am asking to be? And if you get the booklet, which is on a second browser, but we made this a couple years ago, and I call it Be-ology Level 1. Man, it's Level 1. And I really, as well as introducing you into all of what you can be, I also start this kind of off with a prayer, and really the methodology to integrate the conscious body with your infinite body so you can become all of you. And I started to do this daily practice, and it started with this invocation. So I'm just going to play it out today. And as you get nuggets, as you get awareness, as you get magic, I would love if you'd post in the comments. I'll play with your questions and your comments, and wherever you want to go, just go ahead and let me know where you want to play. And when you come on, say hi and hello. And it's nice to just make sure that there's other people out there that are hearing me and experiencing this. So we'll take a deep breath, and then we'll go ahead and get started in just a second here. I just need to tap in, and I'll let a few more people come on as well. So the invocation, and I call it invocation as, us yogis do, right? It used to be like these sing songs, but now it's really playing with the energy, space, and consciousness that we be, and we be with our bodies. So, what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be the energetic synthesis of communion, infinite space of no judgment, and the Be-ology I truly be? Anything that doesn't, what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be the energetic synthesis of communion for my being and body, the infinite space of no judgment, and the Be-ology I truly be? Anything that doesn't allow that, would you destroy and uncreate? And what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be the energetic synthesis of communion for my being, my body, and the infinite space of no judgment and Be-ology that I truly be? And take a breath. And a lot of this work is, clearly from my work in Access Consciousness. I just want to acknowledge their land of work that has really brought me to a space where I can really create a lot of magic in a lot of people's lives. So I wanted to do a few clearings and some play with really just killing out the wrongness in you, killing out the fixed points of view that this reality is. And I look at consciousness as, this world and this land where we can play with no right or wrong, no good or bad. It's really this space of no judgment. And that also includes no conclusions. And this has been quite the key for me to break out of what I was actually choosing, because my land was all about wrongness and rightness. I wanted to just kind of dive you into a brief history about this. When I left my corporate job in 2005, and well, I was trying to leave it, and then I was trying to leave it, and then I was trying to leave it. And, it's like one of those things where, it's just like really hard to leave something that provides you income and really have the courage in your life to step up and say, you know what, screw this. I am ready for a whole new reality. I am ready for a different life. I'm ready for a whole different world. And, you often want money for that. So I stayed in this job way too long, and I built up a nest egg so that I would have something to invest in growing this business, right? In making it happen, in learning, and really also a nest egg to feed myself at the time, right? Because my husband at the time wasn't making very good money, so it really was required that I made money. So I built up a nest egg from my job over maybe 2 or 3 years, because I knew that a change had to always save for a rainy day. So, it started with me, and I wrote this up in my very first book called 7 Dragons, A Guide to a Limitless Mind, that kind of accidentally ended up being a bestseller on Amazon very quickly, because I had some forces of nature behind it that, saw the story, and some real true magic happened, in which case then like you do as a business owner, you hire a publicist, and then that killed everything. So I was fortunate enough that I had some success right out of the gate. That success didn't really make very much money because, book sales don't really make that much. You make like $4 or $5 a book. So it was great for the exposure, but I didn't have, anywhere to lead anyone or anywhere to take anyone except into my coaching practice and to actually be a coach. And it's a very big leap for somebody to just hear someone on a radio show and then hire them as a coach. I was lucky enough that I did have that happen, here and there and on a regular basis. Now, gosh, this was now over 12 years ago where I really went into how am I gonna live? So well, I'm just going to do some clearings and just keep sharing the story so that you kind of get the touch of what it really takes to be the potency of all you are when you're hit with like ongoing adversary, when you're hit with all this resistance, reactions, and stressors. Like, how do you keep using these tools to move through this? One of my favorite ones, and I shared that in the video. If you, I think it's even on the replay page. It's definitely on the VIP purchase page. But it's, what is it that you know that you're denying or refusing to know that's keeping you always from trusting your knowing? And everything that is, alleviate and take a breath. What is it that you know that you're denying, refusing, resisting to know about you? And if you were to dive in and truly know it about you, you would have it all. Everything that doesn't allow that, would you just draw in and create? What is it that you know that you've been denying or resisting that you know? And if you would now know it, you'd have all of you. And take a breath. What current fixed points of view are you using to create yourself as a not knower? All that is and everything that brings up, would you store it and create? What fixed points of view are you using to create you as the not knower? All that is, would you store in and create? Well, so in this journey, I began to know me. I think that's the greatest thing about being an entrepreneur, is that you hit a moment and you're like, oh shit, I just did that. And you're like, oh, I did that, and you can start to look at it and say, okay, what is that? And you really start to absorb yourself. And as I think has been an ongoing theme throughout this week is, you really get to know, gosh, I have these quirky things, and you really get to go, gosh, I know that I do this, or gosh, I'm aware of that. And the key thing to get is awareness, right? Like, once you're aware of it, you can change it. And you don't even need to know how many times that I was approached with somebody facilitating. Well, I'd start to lament the loss of what I just became aware of. And sometimes it'd be like lamenting the loss of the limitation. And I'd go, oh no, now what's going to happen, basically. And he'd be like, well, now that you're aware of that too, you can now change it. And I got to change, instead of myself always going into the sadness. When I changed something, there became greater possibilities. So so after I had this like great big win with my first book that came out in 2007, gosh, can you believe that? So that book is 12 years old. And it's still a great book, and it still sells on a regular basis because it has gained some sort of crazy momentum, that I'm very fortunate that it's still out there. People recommend it. It talks about the 7 dragons, and it's called The 7 Dragons, A Guide to a Limitless Mind. And this was me just starting to look at kind of what do I notice as the limitations within me. You know, it talks about Ricky, the resistance dragon, because that was one of the things, obviously, that I had big time. And I think in some way I still do, but now on a scale of 1 to 10, instead of it being like a 10, I mean, I'm the most resistant girl in the world, it's like a 3. And I think that, you know, one of the things within personal development, it's really, really awesome to get is I'm changing. Even though it's not all gone, change is happening. And for me, that is just effing exciting. I mean, it is like, you know, give me a present. Well, my present, I would like to have more spaciousness. I'd like to have more embodiment, and I'd like to have more ease. So after this book came out and I had some success, as I said, I hired a publicist and everything kind of went in the pooper. And if you heard Megan Silito earlier, one of the things I found out while I was facilitating her, which was years later, was that publicist did everything very linear and very meticulous and very slow. So it was almost so much not me and destroying my effortless creation of this book, which I actually wrote in 90 days, and it just came out and everything happened and it was exciting. And then it was like publicist and then linear, step by step. How many of you, yes, you can raise your hand in your living room, in your kitchen. How many of you have a little bit of trouble slowing down? I'm here to tell you you're with the right person, because I am so not linear. And even my stories and the conversations I say are so not linear. So if you're looking for linear, you are in the wrong place. So I just wanted to acknowledge you. And so everywhere where you're trying to do linear because you think it will create and make you more money, or create and make your life happen in a greater and bigger way, and everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate? Mwah. Everywhere you decided that you're wrong because you don't create the same way other people create, would you destroy and uncreate everything that is? So after the book, I met a friend. His name was Darius Barazande, and he had just written a novel that was kind of based on a past life. You know, it was a very cool book based on the past lives, and we were starting to share notes. And it's like, he just wrote a book, and I just wrote a book, and let's talk. And we became friends right away. And we had this great idea to do an interview series where we would interview all the people from The Secret. And we even got in touch with Dr. Demartini. He was the only person from The Secret that we haven't interviewed to date. We didn't get them all on that series, but we got a lot. And I became friends with Joe Vitale, and who actually lives very close to me, and Bob Doyle, both of which really, really helped me just grow up and be really real in my life and my marketing. And they just helped me. I think I actually went out to dinner with Bob 3 or 4 times, and I went to one of his events, and you know, he was talking about linear. One of the things I remember is everyone in the audience got a rubber ducky, and he had this whole talk about how, you know, we're destroying our lives by getting all our ducks in a row. So once again, everywhere where you've decided you're wrong because you don't create the same way everyone else creates, and you don't create in a very linear way, and you're trying to get all your ducks in a row, which you destroy and then create. and take a breath. Whew. One of the people earlier in this call, acknowledged me that she's like, if somebody was a word, I'd give your word joy. And I thought that was just like such a beautiful compliment, because coming out of corporate, I was the most depressed person in the world. Not just resistant on a level of 10, I was also depressed. I was also, doing so much that wasn't me, that it was insane. And this has been the journey, and that's why I'm sharing it all with you, to get me into really being not sane, right? It's great to be insane in the way I am now, because I am full of joy. I mean, this is not just something that I'm pretending or trying to be. I am pure joy, and this is why. Okay. Ooh, take a breath. We'll have to do a little awesomeness right at the end to kind of just disperse all these energies that are coming up in the call. And I will take questions. I'd love, tell me what's going on as things come up. But I want to go ahead and see if I can get this whole story out right now. And then I'm going to go into actually the elements of Be-ology next week and just kind of tell everyone, because I know everyone's kind of hitting overwhelm right now. But I'd like to, really do it where people are really here. I think we've kind of blissed too many people out at this point. So once Darius and I got together, we kind of had this, this idea to just do this interview series, and it worked out pretty well. We had 21 speakers, and we just had an interview. We didn't even really have an offer. There were affiliate offers, and the greatest thing was we built a list, right? We built a list of followers. And after that, I had already kind of hit, my mom was also, she had breast cancer, and she was on her way out, and among other things going on. So I was doing a lot of trips to go see her while I was also trying to do this telesummit, and the pressure was also getting, really high. And this is one of the patterns that I just talked about with our earlier two speakers, was I have this like tendency to be able to manifest incredibly, but I do it at the cost of exhaustion and health and craziness. So I've actually spent, and we'll get to that part of the story, but I have spent the last, oh gosh, it's almost been 8 years now, really refining my systems and my work, so that it is really about, it's really an integrity with all of me. And I'm working on doing it with the brand. So after we did this summit, big awarenesses. And then, I become friends with Bob Doyle, and he was teaching me marketing. And then I went off to a lot of various events to learn a little more. How do we do this internet marketing? It was kind of just this curiosity and this play. And I loved learning and playing with Bob at the time. And that was the year that I also, in doing these interview series, met Dr. Dane here. And that was 2010. And what he told me, at the time, and he was also growing Access at the time. It was like this little, it was bigger than my company, but it was still small. And, he was like, do you want to do some trade? You teach me a little marketing, and I will teach you a little bit on how to be in the world. And so we did this like trade agreement, and I helped them with marketing, and he helped me like really get down to some of the nitty gritty on what I'm resisting in life. And one of the things that went also back to knowing, like we did at the beginning, he said, what is it that you know that you're denying and refusing to know? And it was just like this real short thing that I just kind of kept in my life. And I was like, I know that I can grow $1 million business. And the year before, we had just made it to almost $250,000 gross. Like I had put a lot of expenses into things. just making mistakes, toiling around, going to marketing events, right? And I was like, I know I can, and I know I can before the end of the year. So, and off I did. And I actually have a screenshot of the time in October of 2011, yeah, where I broke 1.2 million, and things were happening and coming in so fast that I didn't even know that I did. And it wasn't until December that I found, oh wow, way back in October, we actually broke this. And it was like one of those things that, you think you want all your life, and you're like, this is the gold. Like, I mean, literally, right? This is it. This is my goal. And one of the things I know about goals these days is that a goal was actually like the end, right? And then oftentimes when you reach a goal, you'll go backwards. So how many goals do you have that you are going for, but at the end of it, it is just, your stopper. Like, it's just a way to quit and stop and be done. Well, I used it that way. And once I reached that mark, I publicly came out and said, this was like January 2012, I quit, meaning that I quit, doing, this nonstop work, doing these interview series, doing these summits. I quit. Right. I got, and at the time, I mean, that it wasn't clear, but I meant that I quit it all. I'm going to take this money and invest it in other ways of making money. And I did exactly that. And while I did, within 1 year, I was like craving to come back. And I was not having as much fun. I wasn't seeing transformation, and I knew, well, I have to at least come back and be a facilitator and a coach. So we came back, we did this event called Crazy Rich and Free to Be, and it was spectacular. I mean, I couldn't have asked for any more except for better videos, probably. I had hired an assistant, we got sponsorships and did the whole shebang, and came back and did Crazy Rich and Free. And, I got done with that event and I was like, great, let's do it again. And my assistant then had a husband. She was like not even my assistant. She was like my manager. And her husband just got a new job. And she's like, but that's okay. I'm just going to, she was pregnant a year ago. She just had a baby, and then they were moving. And once she moved, things just kind of broke down and fell apart. And I kind of got into a little bit of, maybe you guys have done this too, where everything is great, and then one thing changes and it gives you a really good excuse to take a break too. So she needed to, take 3 or 4 weeks off and go and move and change. And I said, well, while you do that, I'm going to rewrite up Visioneering and start to get together a whole new launch around Visioneering. And situations changed and she had to leave. And I made that a really great excuse to stop creating so great and so big. So just with the audience I had, the clients I had, we, and we still do an annual Visioneering. We do do some of these various events, and they've just become very small in comparison to what used to be. And so I've spent, so after all of that chaos and me having to publicly come out and quit and take a break and give myself reasons to take a break, I want my life to be on how I want things to flow, and really recrafted Visioneering so that it includes, this breath work, these meditations, body work, yoga, and it really includes us going through and destroying those things that are keeping us, in those conclusions, in that judgment, in the excuses, and everything that it is. So how many excuses, conclusions, judgments, justifications, and reasons are you using to keep yourself limited and small and from creating from your natural, organic, creative being that you truly that brings up, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. And what if now we can all be the energy of turn on and turn it up and turn it on and be that greatness that we truly be? What separations would you need to destroy that's keeping you from being that delicious superhero creator that you truly be? And everything that is, would you be willing to let go, destroy, and uncreate? How many inventions, algorithms are you using to keep yourself constantly going back and recreating something like I have, like overwhelm and goals to keep myself constantly quitting? Anywhere where you've got an invention or an algorithm like that, would you be willing to let it go and destroy it? 1, 2, 3. How many fixed points of view and conclusions are you using to create your life? How many fixed points of view and conclusions are you using to create your life? And all that that is, would you destroy and uncreate? Take a breath. Whew. And how many expectations are you using to keep yourself limited and locked up and not totally being you? And all that that is, would you destroy and uncreate? All right. How are you guys? Welcome back. Lisa's like, yes. Wow. What else do we have? I'm here. Cool. Again, one of the things that I've used on an ongoing basis for I'm here is how many of you feel that you're often checked out and now is the time to get checked back in? Anywhere where you won't allow yourself to totally and utterly be here and check back in, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. Yeah. What energies of healing, caring, generative, creative, orgasmic energies can you now add to your life? Anything that doesn't allow that, would you uncreate and destroy? Yeah. What creations of making yourself choiceless have you created that entrains what you cannot create, choose, and institute as the universe of total difference and possibilities? Everything that is times a gazillion would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. Have you ever felt that you don't have a choice, right? Like how many of you have felt like, you know what, I have to, I don't have a choice, you know? What if now is the time to destroy and uncreate everything that is? And take a breath. Whew. What creation of making yourself choiceless have you created that entrains what you cannot create, choose, and institute as a universe of total difference and possibility? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate? For every thought, feeling, emotion, or distraction energy, have you ever thought about asking, who does this belong to? Is this just my interesting point of view? I did that for 6 months. Talk about spaciousness. So all the hidden, secret, invisible, covert, unseen, unsaid, unacknowledged, and undisclosed implants you have that's keeping you in various thoughts, feelings, emotions, or distractor energies where you aren't asking, who does this belong to? Would you be willing to store and uncreate everything that is? And take a breath. Whew. Everywhere where that checked you out, can you now check back in please. Whew. We'll awesomeness this out at the end so that all of this will, be in existence around it. Cool. So just to kind of wrap up the story, and then we'll go into some meditative work. So what has happened since in these last few years? So since New Wealth Experience ended in, really, I ran that all through 2012. So beginning of 2013, that's when my manager, Leonka, left. What have I done? Well, basically, I've just been coaching, and I've been working on my work, and I've been, running some Airbnbs and making some money outside of this job and this career, right? And it's good, and I love my clients. Usually my clients are, those that are very woo-woo. In fact, the next session is with another one of my clients. And what she is just like this is working with the elementals of Earth and the world. And she is like bringing it to marketplace, right? So I work with those that like really work on building an online business. Unless we're doing Be-ology, in which case we're just like, getting down to who you are, what you want to be and have, what turns you on, what brings out all of you. Like Jonda said, that I kind of think of it like this pouncing energy, this like Tigger like pounce, like I'm gonna have it, now I'm gonna consume it, right? What would it take for us to all have more of that? What if we were all too much? What if we would have all of that? What is possible? Whew. All right. So a little bit about the practice, the daily practice that Be-ology has with it. So have you think about, if you still can after 4 days of doing this, think about what you might be fighting, struggling with, what's challenging you. What are some of the narratives now? What's annoying you? What's frustrating you? What's, whatever it is, right? And I just want you to like write it down. It doesn't, I like starting a journal around this because I was doing it every day, to really get back to all of me. Who am I, and what are my rules of creation? What am I choosing here? So, so it starts with clearing and looking at the narrative, right? Like, yeah, finally noticing that ongoing narrative of overwhelm, ongoing narrative of, over this or under that, or boredom, right? I have a little narrative that I played with boredom. Finally, think I might have gotten rid of that one. Whatever the narrative is, you can even write a little bit about the story about it. Okay. And then I want you to say, I love that about me 5 times. Yes, I am irritated, frustrated, struggling, having this challenge now. And I love that about me. Yep, I do that. I choose that. I love that about me. I love that about me. I am just like my father. I love that about me. I'm just like my mother. I love that about me. I am just like my father. I love that about me. And I want you to say it so many times to and you'll either get to, okay, I don't love that about me, I'm changing it, right? You get to this choice point. And, like I said, I don't know how many times I've said choice. I should have just had, you count them, right? Whoever counts the highest number of me is saying the word choice. No, but you get to this choice point when you're like, I find that I'm doing this narrative just like my father. Okay, I love that about me. And then you go, no, I'm doing that narrative, but I don't really like that I'm doing it. So you know what? I'm hitting this choice point. It's time to change it. And then I do this little invocation. It's what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be the energetic synthesis of communion for me and my body, and the infinite space of no judgment and Be-ology I truly be. I said it at the beginning, right? Okay. It opens this door for you to be an energetic synthesis of communion with all of everything, right? I could say it slower, but I'm kind of running out of time and I want to get to everything. And then you just, and then I usually, and I call it activate, where then you go into the I aming statements and you just, you know, I am not my father, right? I am not fighting with blah, 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 blah. I am not challenged with. Sometimes I will even do it, I am challenged with, and I acknowledge that, right? So you can activate it in a few different ways, whatever keeps coming through. And then I go into the body, and at these times my lungs are, and you just acknowledge, you know, my lungs are contracted. At this time, my heart is open, right? My feet, I notice that, my ears, my mouth, and you just go through your whole body. You have the handout for all of this. This is on the very last page of it, by the way. So, and then you go into connection. You connect where everything is a contribution. And you allow in the struggle that you've chosen to be struggle. And you also acknowledge that it's just a construct. And you allow it to be everything exists and nothing is judged. Everything exists and nothing is judged. So I did this practice for quite some time, to just like clear out all the energy, which is very, very fun. Just taking it out, clearing it. That's kind of like the daily practice of Be-ology. And the Be-ology is actually, you know, there's a whole workbook that goes through it, that we do in this 2-day course that is happening at my beach house, January 18th and 19th. And the tickets are on sale. So within the box, I'm giving you $500 off the ticket. So right now, if you make a decision before the end of the month, it's just $50 for you to go. If you get the box, right? And then the price goes up to $950. The event is $950 for the 2 days. And so if it comes to be like the day of the event, well, then it's $950 at the door, right? For the first 10 that say yes, we actually have we have a discount and a budget at the Best Western that is a block away from my house. So if you do want to come and you already know, let me know, and we'll make sure you get in that block. Okay. So this is my first introduction to this. Like you guys are the first, you know, I've kind of seeded it along the way, but you're kind of the first hearing this. And that's also why I'm like, if I'm going to really go into the work of Be-ology, I'm going to, we're going to actually bring it in as a webinar or what have you, so that, because I think my audience is getting excited, a little exhausted here. And I get it because I've been sitting here doing it. So you guys, I thank you guys for being here all the way. Isha says, I am here. Oh, I read that one. Who else says, who else has questions? Oh, so I'm going to now type in the box. I also want you guys to know we also have a VIP pass that if you do miss one of these, or you miss the 24-hour replay, you can still go ahead and get it, right? So I just typed the box into the feed. And if you want the VIP pass, which is, but really it's all the audios and videos for you to download and always have, right? So, you know, if you don't like to watch on video and you don't want to sit at a computer, then you've got the audio. which is kind of fun. You know, have a long trip coming up, then get the audios. They're just $47, which among these summits is highly reduced. And the reason we've reduced it was because we had the collective box that I really wanted to create. And you know what? I've never done it this way. I've never even done the interviews this way before. I've never done them back to back like this before. So this is just like me totally experimenting with how we can do interviews and how we can recraft this as, you know, I come back and really start, you know, with a whole new version of Be-ology. I really am in looking to, you know, you might have noticed that my, you know, I went from Real Raw You, and then now I've got this other like brand. Real Raw You isn't going to go away. I don't know who's been paying attention or not, but you might want to notice that we called it Boss Box. Well, it's because I'm really here to bring up those of you that want to learn how to, you know, communicate your message and your brand online. And that's just a part of it. You know, of course, the real part is you first getting who you are, who you want to be, what you want to have. So cool. Teresa, are you coming to Be-ology? Do you want to come to Be-ology? Let me know. It'll be great. You know, some of you guys have been on the feed. It'd be really fun to have some of you there. And thank you for your questions and contributions. So yeah, and you guys can email us directly. Also, like all those emails that go out, you can email me back because, you know, somebody will respond to you, by the way. I hesitate. I used to hesitate to say that because I would get like this flood, but at this point I'm like, no, I want to help. I want to contribute. So don't ask me for the replay link because you know what? You should be getting the emails that have the replay link. You should have opted in and gotten that. So I get a little bit weird with that one, but everything else, if you want a link to order something, yes. Be-ology will have a page that we'll put up next week. It's almost done, but I didn't want to just dump you with something else. And really, it's a part of the box. I mean, you're going to want the box so you can get that $500 off. The box is only $197. Just saying. Oh, Lisa, did you enjoy this? Was this fun? It's really fun for me to do it too. Oh, thank you for listening to the Real Raw podcast. I don't know, I'm going to have to kind of feel out the energy. What's next? I don't know where the show is going right now. I actually talked with a relationships and parenting, and not actually have all the interviews and then do the interviews on shows like this. It's an idea. I haven't said like 100% yes to it. If you guys have, ideas on where you would like a show to go or a topic, I'd love to hear about that. Cool. You've got until the end of October to take this deal for Be-ology, so you don't have to make a decision right now. Yeah. Well, I've got 9 minutes before my next speaker shows up. She's in Australia, by the way. Her name's Prasanna Diana Manuel, if you want to say it all out. And she creates like you becoming the force of nature. And she does it through the elements of the earth and the energy. So it is cool stuff. But Lisa, thanks for staying. And sometimes when the host of these shows come up, everybody wants to run because they are like, oh, it's just the host. It's changing for me. Thanks for being here, you guys. Yeah, so one more call today. I'm going to take 5 minutes. Thank you for being here. It's really fun to just dive into the energy and open the doors. And I found that it has become the way to keep myself in this joy and remain free in an ongoing way. So much love to you. I will see you at the top of the hour, hopefully. Hopefully I'll make it back too. No, just kidding. I will be here. But I get it. It's been a long couple of days, but it's been fun. So talk to you later. Bye-bye, everyone.